and Caleb Collier says that this proposal is meant to protect their Second Amendment
I'm
rights.
proposing that the city of Spokane Valley issue a proclamation stating that our city is a Second Amendment sanctuary city.
Welcome to the fire.
Today on Church and State, group indicted for allegedly stealing and selling body parts from Harvard morgue.
And warning, in the next 48 hours, the European banking system may be hacked by groups such as Killnet and Anonymous Sudan.
Plus, we're headed to Olympia to worship Jesus, and we're going to be met by the House of Heretics. Hello, Christian Patriots, and welcome to Church and State, where we strive to plug you into the pew and plug you into politics. I'm your host, Caleb Collier. With me, as always, Pastor Gabe Blumgren.
In his very muted way, he is pushing through. He's just pushing through right now. He's been taking naps in between shows.
I didn't take a nap. I put my head on the desk.
He took a little nappy nap.
You exaggerate so much.
He needs his mom right now in a bowl of soup.
I do.
Your mom.
Mom, come down to the studio and take care of me. I'm really sick. I can't reach the remote.
Get your Z-Pack, because in the middle of summer, my guy Caleb has a cold. I just felt his forehead. He's warm.
I think it's more than a cold, man. I think I have the flu, actually.
This sucks. If I catch it, I'm going to kill you.
I'm hoping you do.
I'm going to take my Z-Stack pills. So
there you go. Hey, if you want to get some of those Z-Stack pills, go to churchestate.media. Check out all of our fine affiliates. Check out our shows as well there. You can share them off of there. There's more coming. We're trying to build this thing up to where it is just a fantastic source for you. Also, while you're at it, go check out those s'mores and the grilled cheese sandwiches. Like, my guy over here, like he's literally a caveman. He took them, saying he was going to use them, and he doesn't even have a toaster. Like,
I don't have a toaster.
Like, you live in a cave or something? What are you doing?
I have a toaster oven, which is much more convenient.
Why don't you have a toaster?
Toasters are just old technology.
You don't like toast?
I do. My toaster oven makes toast.
Dude,
and I can also reheat some ribs without using the microwave.
You're a strange guy,
who
man. Like, who doesn't have a
your
toaster?
ribs to be microwaved or some steak?
Obviously not, but
I'm not going to say this to Chris, because Chris is a vegan.
Vegetarian.
But Pat, you eat steak. Are you gonna reheat your steak in a microwave? No, you're not. And you can't put your steak in a toaster. I've tried it. Doesn't work. So toaster oven. There you go.
Hey,
debate solved.
If you want to get a hold of us, Church and State 1776 at proton.me. We love getting those emails. Please keep them up. All right, Gabe, let's talk a little bit about what are we talking about first?
We're talking about the pro-life couple in Baltimore.
Just brutally attacked.
We are no strangers to getting immersed into civic life and pushing back against our local death mill. We absolutely cannot stand, and I hope, Paul Dillon, in Jesus' name, you come to Jesus. I thank you that...
I also pray you don't become a city councilman.
Well, he could if he becomes a Christian. Get Jesus. Get your life turned around. Stop murdering babies. But this couple went out to their local Planned Parenthood and were beaten violently. We have pictures here online. This was not just a regular run-in. These two were left beaten severely.
And look, I'm going to say this as well, like, to the church. Like, we can't allow vulnerable people, like these individuals, they were what, 78 and 80, something like
73 and 80.
Yeah.
Who hits a 73-year-old person?
Well, Antifa does. They don't care. But here's the thing. Where were you, church? Like, shouldn't you be out there protecting individuals like that? Like, if your church... And you know that you got some members, especially some old people or maybe some young kids, that are going out and they're going to hold some signs at these abortion mills. Shouldn't you have some capable men there as well? Shouldn't they be standing around making sure that nobody messes with them?
This guy is reported to be a white male who at the time was wearing brown shoes, gray T-shirt, and allegedly has a full beard. But he beat the heck out of these two. He still has not been found. I would have loved to have seen this happen and, just like you said, defended these people and pounded him in Jesus' name.
Yeah.
Like Peter would have done.
Yeah, you know, we were talking about that. I was actually at a Bible study last night, and there's a case where Paul, he's over at Mars Hill, right? And he gives a sermon, and it's actually just prior to the Mars Hill sermon, where they try to arrest him, like a typical fashion. The Pharisees, what do? Well, they rile up the mob, and then they go to the government in order to punish, right? And during this time, and I can't even say the guy's name because I will butcher it, but the leader of the synagogue, after the government official washes his hands of it, kind of a Pilate move, he says, it doesn't concern me. The mob goes and beats this leader of the synagogue. They don't beat Paul, they beat the leader of the synagogue. Hold on, fast forward a little bit. A little bit later into the Bible, this guy becomes a believer. Ooh. So sometimes a good beating can actually make you a Christian. Yeah.
Might knock a few of those lefty senses. So speaking of lefties, we have...
Well, let's go to Sean Foyt first.
Yeah, that's this call to action.
Well, let's address that one right after the first one. So if you would bring up the Kingdom to the Capital tour for me, Chris, we got a great event, a series of events. No, not that one. So we've got a series of events that are coming to this region. So we're going to be in Olympia, July 28th, which if you would scroll down there, you can actually see the dates on all of those.
Yeah.
July 28th, we are going to be in Olympia. We are then moving directly south, and the next day, July 29th, we're going to be in Salem, Oregon. And then following that, we're going to be in Boise, Idaho. Now, we've been doing these all over the country, and I'll tell you, the amount of lives that have been changed due to this event is just phenomenal, Gabe.
And we know Let Us Worship, their team has been doing events all over the country, but this is a combined effort between our good friend, obviously Charlie Kirk is an amazing man, and we talk about him often. You work for Turning Point. They have joined forces, Sean Foyt, Charlie Kirk, and every single capital in the United States over the next 2 years. Yeah. 2 years has been hitting. One of my good friends who's been on the show, Gavin Spees, who you actually work with, he's been doing all the legwork, setting up these events. It is a lot of work to get permits, to get the equipment, to get the equipment there. And so this is no little undertaking. And those of you who are like, hey, you say all the time, I wish there's something I could do. Go to Olympia. Grab your kids.
It's not hard to drive that far. Like, look, it's the summertime. You don't have to worry about the pass or anything. We've been in so many different states. We were just in Tennessee. That was phenomenal. We just got out of Delaware. Okay, and Delaware had so many lives transformed. Like, Delaware, really?
Yeah.
Okay, but you know what has not happened? Yes, we've had some protesters and we've had some Antifa type people out there. We have not had Satanists out here yet. So, hey, kudos to you. Like, where's the applause, Gabe? Washington State. Oh man, you guys are awesome. You guys brought out the Satanists.
It's getting feisty. They've got a group, and if we can go ahead and put this up, I love it. They make statements here. This is
the House of Heretics.
House of Heretics, yes. Call to action. This is their little PDF that's going around on the internet.
So you got a satanic symbol right there, the upside or the star there, and it says, what does it say, Gabe? Satan.
Oh, Satan respects your pronouns.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what? Satan doesn't respect anything about you. How about that?
He's kind of gonna get you in his cell, and then once you're locked in, he's gonna do what he wants to do. But anyway, I want to read the top. It says, well-known anti-trans, anti-abortion, and self-proclaimed Christian nationalist Sean Foyt has booked a speaking event at our state's capital. Let's show him that his hate, bigotry, and zealots have no place in our beautiful state. So they've advertised the exact date, obviously, Friday, July 28th, when we're going to be there. They say to be there at the state capitol.
Yeah, it says the F word, bigotry, hail Satan, hail thyself. Like we got to fundamentally reject this. We gotta even if you can't attend, the prayer warriors need to be out here making sure that they are praying against this. Gabe, read the last part, too. This is interesting.
It says, I've never heard of an unbaptism, but join House of Heretics on the Capitol steps as we celebrate our trans communities with gender-affirming rituals. I don't know what that's going to be. And unbaptisms performed by our very own ordained satanic clerics. Dude, I am going to be fasted up and prayed up.
Yeah.
And I'm praying that those of you who are coming, don't be afraid.
No, don't be afraid. This is an opportunity for you to get out there and live your faith.
Proverbs 28, verse 1, the righteous are as bold as lions, but the wicked flee when no one even pursues them.
Yep. and that's what we're going to be doing. We got another event as well, Gabe. Why don't you go ahead and take the lead on that one?
Yeah, so coming to On Fire Ministries this coming Wednesday, this week, just around the corner, at 6 o'clock, and it's probably going to go from 6 to about 7:30. We have
When is this, the 21st?
Yes, Wednesday the 21st. We have Sean Foyt in Spokane. What he's going to be doing is sharing what the Kingdom of the Capital Tour is, what's happening. He's also going to be coming to Spokane again this summer. He's going to release the dates for that. He's going to be downtown at the Pavilion once again. So a lot of you were at the Backstreet Boys concert. So those of you who are at the Backstreet Boys concert when he came here last time, you can actually go to a real concert.
Weren't you there?
No. I was
Yeah.
at the Boys to Men concert.
It's going to be August 20th. Put that on your calendars right now. August 20th. We're also going to, on August 19th, we're going to be in Seattle. So we're doing a lot out here to push back against the satanic agenda of not just our country, the federal government, but also Washington State, because clearly we've got a lot of problems here. All right, moving on from there, Gabe. And this story just disgusts me, but we've got to cover it. Do you remember, you've seen some horror movies, right, back in the day?
Yeah.
Like, you and I don't watch horror movies anymore, really, right?
This is, I would say, Silence of the Lambs, comparatively to today's horror, not.
There was almost a suspense thriller.
Yeah, psychological thriller maybe, but nowadays they have things that are absolutely demonic.
Yeah, just
Do
sick.
not-
But
do
then,
not turn
but
on.
here's the thing: everybody remembers Leatherface, right? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this story just reeks of that. We've got a group that has been indicted. They're stealing and selling body parts from a Harvard morgue. And they actually investigated a woman from Salem. Boy, does that have some eerie history there. But a woman from Salem whose creepy creation shop was searched by the FBI in
Cat's
March.
Creepy Creations.
Doesn't that sound like a fun place? Apparently, she specializes in like bone products. But what, you know what else she was doing? She was making skin leather, like
Yes.
straight out of Leatherface here. This is just
Multiple
twisted.
people were indicted. There was an individual who was having skin sent to him. He was tanning said skin to make leather. Now, this husband and wife couple, the Lodges, somehow Cedric Lodge,
He was employed by them,
well,
wasn't he?
no, he is the coroner.
Yeah, he's employed by the morgue. That's how they're getting
Yeah.
the bodies out.
Obviously, the interesting thing is the body parts were donated by Harvard. Now, Harvard has a program where it is basically you can donate a body to their anatomical gift program. So let's just say you had a loved one that you didn't love that much, or either, you were really into science and this individual wanted to have their bodies donated to science. You could donate said Uncle Stu or whoever to their anatomical gift program. Now, once you gave your loved one over, you don't know what happens to them.
Yeah.
Well, the Lodges were going ahead and taking and doing whatever they wanted, including selling brains. And the descriptions on
Taylor-
PayPal, listen to the
Yeah, I know. That's what I was about to bring
the
up.
PayPal descriptions. Talk about you might want to be a little bit more subtle, but one of the PayPal descriptions paid out was BRIAA.
No, it's I.
I. And so, in other words,
it says head number
brains.
7 and brains. She paid over $37,000 to this Lodge individual, this Taylor lady who had this creepy creation store. Like, wow. Like, I tell you this, we got any listeners that are over there by Salem? Hey, you might want to see if you've got one of these products in your house or your kids brought it in or something.
Yeah.
You better get rid of that thing.
So a lot of this we're bringing up, especially just after talking about the Church of Satan, there is a group of people who get off and totally are satisfied at purchasing said items. This is horrific. What's interesting is they were caught, and right now we're going to see Harvard's response has been rebuilding their website. Nobody's going to be donating to that website.
I would hope not.
It's going to take a while for the dust to settle on this one.
Well, I mean, Harvard is already an absolute garbage university.
Isn't
I mean,
it the same school with Skull and Bones?
Yeah, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, the Skull and Bones.
Oh, that's
Yale.
Yale. That is
Okay.
Yale. Never mind.
Very interesting story. It's
Yep.
very creepy. Cat's Creepy Creations.
Yeah, don't shop there, please. Although, unfortunately, she's probably got a bunch of people that are online looking at that store. All right, moving on from there, Gabe. What are we doing now? The Russian?
We have this is a story that is Gateway Pundit says in the next 24 hours, hopefully those of you who are listening, you don't have any money in Europe that you need to get to quickly, but pro-Russian hacktivist groups Killnet, Anonymous Sudan, and Revil,
Yeah, it's evil, like re-evil.
yeah, announced to destroy the European banking system in the next 48 hours.
Yeah, they're going to unleash a massive cyber onslaught on the European banking system, threatening to bring it to its knees within 48 hours. Now, this story was released today, the 15th. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that you are going to want to pay attention. Go over to the Gateway Pundit, read this story for yourself. You know, Gabe and I will do our due diligence to get all this information out to you, but you should be reading it on your own as well. And get ready, get prepared. Like, do you have enough food? Like, hey, I'm not trying to make a bank run or anything like that, but you could look at a story like this and say, hey, I'm going to go grab a few items from the grocery store. You know, I mean, I know we all need our toilet paper, right? I mean, you see what happens when Americans don't have toilet paper.
Obviously the definable measure of technology and status is toilet paper.
Of course it is. Yes.
But according to Axios, Killnet briefly overloaded and took down the websites of some U.S. healthcare organizations earlier this year. So they have some skin in the game. They have some actual attacks that have gone. That was a DDoS attack. And they're threatening this is not a DDoS attack. This is something of a different nature. But the group Revil, I don't know.
Re-evil, I think is what it is.
They are the group who hacked the computers of Florida-based space and weapon launch technology contractor HX5, which counts the Army, Navy, Air Force, and NASA echoed Killnet's sentiments. So these guys are no slouch evil. They hacked Florida's weapon technology. So it's very interesting. I do not know what the sudden... did they say in the video why?
Yeah, I think it's at the beginning of the article. But here's the thing, though.
Obviously, they have it out against Russia.
Yeah, they're pro-Russian, so I'm assuming they're probably going after us because of our support for Ukraine. Which, by the way, we should just stay out of. One of my favorite founding fathers, John Quincy Adams, had said that we don't go searching abroad for monsters. Yeah. We're not trying to go and engage in foreign wars, especially when we have so many problems in the United States already. Like, can we focus there before we go out and try to build so-called democracies throughout the world?
Yeah, everything you're seeing right now is so just reeks of Biden, creepy money laundering. And we see right now, obviously, the fight in Russia, the Ukraine, would not even be close to what it could be without our help as Americans. So, yes, Killnet, Anonymous, all of you guys, could you direct your attacks more towards Europe? If you could maybe like towards Angela Merkel, that'd be great. If we could
maybe just hit Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's make a list.
Could you leave my bank
here's
account
the thing.
alone?
I know you guys can do your targeted attacks. So, like, most of the East Coast, okay, you can probably go for that. California. Like, look, when it comes to Washington State, like, the eastern part's really conservative.
Yeah.
Don't come over here.
We had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And now we've angered some of the leftists because we're talking to some hackers there, Gabe.
We got some time left. Let me
address this real quick, though, because I want to bring this up to our audience, because I know there are people who listen to the show that, and even some other talk show hosts throughout the country that are very pro-Ukraine, and they're pushing this agenda as well. Like, how many times are we going to fall prey to this? Okay, I mean, look back at just recent history in the United States where we've constantly had to have a boogeyman. And, Bush, after the so-called 9/11 attack, it was a 9/11 attack, but I don't think it was it was the Saudis who attacked us. It wasn't the Iranians or the Afghanistans. And yet we fell to this lie that we needed to go in there, that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
We didn't find any of those, of course.
How many times are we going to fall for it?
Yeah, like you've got Vietnam prior to that. Like, why did we go into Vietnam? Why did we go into Korea? Right? In fact, even in World War II, like, there's a lot of compelling evidence that points to FDR actually having foreknowledge of the attack on Hawaii and allowed it to happen because he wanted to engage in the war.
Right. He could not get enough American backing to get in the war.
Yeah, and then, even going back to World War I, you're going to tell me that the assassination of some archduke that nobody even knew, that's the cause of the war?
Right.
No, come
or
on
think
now.
of the Lusitania,
Yeah, no, it's just false. So you've got to look at these types of things, and just here's the best thing you can possibly do, Gabe. If everybody's telling you to do something, don't do it.
Right. And especially don't send your kids over. I know a lot of people now, you have kids who are joining the Marines, joining the Air Force or any armed service, except the Coast Guard. That doesn't count. But if they're joining, you're putting your family at risk.
You are. I have told my kids before, I proudly served in the Marine Corps. I'm glad I did it. I served in a sweet spot. But I don't want my kids to follow me into the military. I don't think that's something that we should encourage our children to do. I mean, why? So they can die in some banker's war? And I think that's a quote from a movie, but I legitimately feel that way. Like, yes. And also, here's the other thing, Gabe. The military isn't what it used to be.
No.
I mean, the things that we're seeing coming out of the military, the people who are joining the military, it's a bunch of Fruit Loops.
And it shows you the top is ticking.
Yeah, exactly. Gabe, I know we weren't going to do this, but I want to talk about this story because I think it's very interesting. And I think
this might be very interesting. A lot of people who have taken the pill.
Yeah. So
it's interesting. It's called the pill.
It's the pill, right? It's the one that was released in the 60s, and all of a sudden all you had to do was take a pill and you didn't have to worry about having a baby. You could go and be as loose and fast as you possibly wanted to be, and you didn't have to worry about it. There's a failure rate, but it's very minor. Okay, so a lot of people have been taking this pill ever since the 60s, and they just did a study, and they have found that teens who have started the pill have a 130% higher rate of depression. That is wild. And this wasn't a small number that they pulled from. 264,000 women, which also included teenage girls, and they found that they're at the highest risk, okay? Now, even among the adult users, 92% increase in high rates of depression. Like, ladies and gentlemen, look, you've been lied to. You have been told that this is the best form of birth control out there. You are married, you got a long-term boyfriend, whatever, but you guys aren't ready. Or maybe you're thinking, I might have one eventually, but all I got to do is take this pill. And now you're becoming super depressed. And what does depression lead to? Gabe, the plan, I guarantee you they knew about this. I guarantee they want people depressed.
And you see the swing between what I would say younger and older, because whatever's happening is it's an effect on the hormone levels, which we know affects your birth. When you're high gestationally, your hormones are high, you have a higher increase in ability to get pregnant. This is not something that, is light. They should have known about this. And obviously they talk about progesterone. What are they saying in there?
I didn't even, hold on a second. Let me, as I find that, let me say this as well. There was a time in the United States not too far ago that depression didn't really exist. Nobody really talked about it. Do you remember talking about depression as growing up as a kid in the 80s?
No, not at all.
It just didn't happen.
Every once in a while you'd have somebody who, would have what we call bipolar. You know what I mean? Somebody who is descriptive as bipolar. And that description now is common, quite common.
Even our time in EMS, Gabe, I think I got out in 2012 as an EMT. Was there an increase? Yes. We went on a lot more mental health calls. But I just had Tim Archer in here yesterday, candidate for mayor, and he said what I had experienced was nothing compared to what they experience now. Mm-hmm. They are nonstop, like, going on mental health issues. People have got problems, and one of the things that you need to look at is these pills that have just been sold.
Generation after generation.
And here's the other thing. It's in the water, too. Okay? It's not just, okay, hey, guys, I don't have to worry about that. Do you know how many pills, just not even just this pill, but how many pills are flushed into the water system? Yeah. Like, you're getting dosed with all sorts of different drugs that you don't even know about it. Why is depression increasing throughout not just females, but males as well? Could it potentially be this?
Yeah, the report said not only do they have depression, but sleep irregularities as well, and eating problems. So, I would put out there, those of you who are still using this, my wife stopped using it years and years ago. Mm-hmm. even before I got the old snip. But I recommend those of you who are using it, do not have your teenagers on this.
Yeah, I agree. And one last thing. I got an email from Tom Reed, who is the owner of ACN. And apparently yesterday when I interviewed, and this is going to air later, but when I interviewed Tim Archer, candidate for mayor, there were a number of people who wrote into ACN, and they asked us a very specific question. They asked why Tim had spent so much time talking about Nadine Woodward versus Lisa Brown when Lisa Brown is clearly the bigger threat. Look, I wanted to address that. I wanted to take the time at the very end of the show to just address that for you. It's because Lisa Brown is going to advance. Okay, you got to know how politics work.
Yeah,
Lisa Brown
will
is
make
guaranteed to move into the general election. The fight right now is between Tim Archer and Nadine. And as you look at what Nadine, and we went through this a lot on the show, so I don't want to belabor it, but when you look at the things that Nadine has done, or perhaps even more appropriately said, Gabe, hasn't done, right? How can you say that this is the person that you want to support? And you can't listen to that conventional wisdom that, well, she already is in there. We need moderates. You know, Nadine is trying to get a lot of Democrats to vote for her. Why, as a Republican, why would you want Democrats to vote for you? Like, just do a comparison. As a Republican, do you have anything in common with the Democrat Party? Let me ask you that.
Nothing, not a thing.
Right? There's
Lisa
nothing.
Brown and me are completely, I could sit down and say hello, but apart from that, got nothing in common.
Absolutely. So why not vote for the guy who is a proven leader, who is not going to just bow down to the status quo? He's not just going to accept what the bureaucrats tell him to do. Hey, push off, I wanted to do this, but the legal team says that I can't. Tim Archer is not that kind of a guy.
Nadine has a bunch of excuses, more than credentials. She has tons of excuses on why her hands are held back. I need somebody who's going to push through the red tape, push through the excuses. Frankly, I feel like, Nadine, you've proven that you're a Christian in name only. And that's even worse than a rhino.
Ooh, that's a good charge. And I would completely agree with you, Gabe. Gabe, you're going to have to go ahead and take this thing because I think I'm going to vomit in your lap right now.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
But I just see the panic in your eyes.
Dude,
I like that.
We have 30 seconds. I'm like, can you just barf into your cup?
No, if I was gonna do that, it'd be all over you. Because we get more hits, man.
You're one of those sacrifices. Barfers, I bet.
Sacrifice. No, you are.
Oh, I am for sure.
You are terrible,
dude. I can't barf quietly. The whole city has to know about it. Wake up the whole house.
And that's a great way to end the show, isn't it? Yeah, right?
It's very, very good.
All right. Church and State is sponsored in part by the Constitution Party and Patriot Church, empowering you to put faith into action. When that Church and State is out.
God bless.